I mean, it's, I just told you. So.
Sounds like art.
Do you know who Joseph McGonigal is?
No.
Joseph McGonigal was like, he was remote viewer #1.
Oh, interesting.
He was the first guy.
Yeah.
And they gave him an assignment once without him knowing like where he was looking into. And what it turned out that he was looking into Mars 1 million years ago. And when he looked into Mars 1 million years ago, Mars was falling apart. And there were beings on Mars that were going into hibernation. They had built pyramids and all these structures, and they had to leave Mars because Mars was being destroyed. Their atmosphere was being destroyed, and they had to come to Earth.
Right.
And what he surmised from that is that what we are is the children of the people of Mars. That's why we're so different from all the other primates.
There's a whole movie dedicated to that exact premise.
Really?
Called Mission to Mars.
Who's in it?
I don't know.
Is it an old
is it
movie?
Greg Kinnear, maybe?
Greg Kinnear?
No, I
For
don't
real?
know. Let's look at it because it's like a great movie, and it's
Really?
about that at the
I
end.
might have seen it now that I'm thinking about it.
Gary Sinise.
Gary
and Tim Robbins.
Sinise. Gary
Don
Sinise.
Cheadle.
What year was this?
2000.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't
Mission to
think I did
Mars.
see it.
Yeah. And that's exactly the premise of the entire movie.
And so the premise of the movie is that these people...
They go on a mission to Mars. They see like a structure on the surface of Mars, so they go and they check it out.
Whoa.
And then like that's the whole thing.
And they realize that Mars... Well, this is not outside of the realm of possibility.
No, not at
And
all.
one of the reasons why I say that is like they've recently found structures on Mars that are so obviously man-made that it's almost impossible to deny. Like I showed it to Elon, and he's like, "Oh, we should go look at it."
Okay, but here's the thing about like
Have you seen that? Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Show him the square on Mars. So there's this. In the 1970s, they took satellite photos of what looked like a face on Mars in Cydonia. And
I
it's
remember. I
kind of
saw it.
weird.
Yeah.
Kind of weird, but it's hard to say if that's like there's things on Earth that look like faces that is just like it's just a natural formation.
Right.
But then they found this. This is recent. Look at that. I mean, what the fuck is that, man? Look at those right angles. Look at that. That's on Mars.
Yeah.
And
That's interesting.
that may have been a structure at
It
one
may
point in
have.
time.
Yeah. I mean, look,
It's too complete. It's too square. It's a square.
I mean, look, I
It
wouldn't.
might be a rectangle, right? Is it kind of a rectangle?
Well, I don't know. We'd have to measure it. I'm sure they could measure it with, throughout, here's the thing. When I looked up remote viewing, for example, and I really looked and did research on it, the studies that were done were kind of discredited about how the effectiveness of those actually were. So if you like really dive in, there's literature that says that it wasn't really the reason that they, apparently. Now this is all like
but
conflicting information. You know what I mean?
I had Hal Putoff on, who was a remote viewer and who was involved in the remote viewer, the Stargate.
Right. So what does he
program.
say about the idea that like the actual studies were not that like conclusive, and that that's why they.
It depends on who's doing it.
I
Who's
know.
doing it?
Yeah,
What's
yeah.
the methodology? But
Yeah.
they were able to accurately find within a small radius a downed Russian spacecraft. So a Russian spacecraft that re-entered orbit and crashed.
Sure.
It was a spacecraft or an aircraft? Do you remember, Jamie? But they used remote viewers, and the Russians couldn't find it, and they found it. And you're talking about in like a vast expanse
Sure.
of wilderness. It could have been anywhere, but
Right.
they found the area
Yeah.
where it was. They also found a Russian factory that was making an enormous nuclear submarine. They found it, accurately described it,
Wow.
the dimensions of it. They knew where it was, and
Yeah.
it was an accurate location.
Yeah.
Not just the thing that was being hidden,
Right.
but where it was,
Right.
the dimensions of it.
Yeah.
I don't dismiss it.
I can't dismiss anything. I just know that like when I looked up like UFO experiences and like this disclosure stuff that's happening lately, and
Yeah.
I mean I'm a huge. I'm not just a believer. I pray that there is someone out there disarming nuclear missiles, as especially right now. Like, my great hope is that there is someone just trying to, like, not step in, but oversee it to the point where hopefully we can survive to a point of having an interstellar civilization. It would be, it's the great dream of humanity, right?
Sure, but we have to be a different civilization than we are now.
Oh, 100%.
Otherwise, we're going to do the same shit.
That's the thing, is that, and that's what I was always, even before Elon was as famous as he is now, when I was like 15, I read his book, and the one thing that I'm a friend of.
What was his book?
It was like a book about him, maybe.
Oh, okay.
But and I don't remember. But what I really wanted the focus to be on was, let's put all these resources into getting this planet right first. Let's put everything we have. And, it felt at the time like, okay, well, yes, we're spending all this money to go off, and maybe we're hopeless. It's possible that we're hopeless, and it sounds like that's where they err on this. It's like, oh, well, humanity on Earth is just over. We just have to go somewhere else. But then if we go somewhere else, we're just going to do the same thing, like you're saying.
Yeah.
So, like, all of the resources, in my opinion, should be focused on like there's devices that they have invented that can be put in river mouths around the world to filter out pollution and plastics going into the ocean, right? And it's like this incredible technology. If the budgets were spent towards these innovations, and maybe AI will help it. Right now AI is kind of a tax on the planet in terms of, like, it's not very good for it. But maybe the AI technology itself will then invent something that makes itself more efficient for the planet.
What do you mean by AI as a tax?
Well, because the energy required for the servers and all of that is it drains a lot of resource.
Right.
And so, but what AI may do is help us create like an ion battery or something that makes energy give off less. You can have this much more energy with way less heat and way less. And so then you can create, instead of having to have giant warehouses full of servers, you can have just, it's the same stuff that happened with the computer, where the computer required a giant building when it was first created, and now you have computers smaller than a.
Just to be clear, Elon's position is not that Earth is like that. Humans are helpless or hopeless, and we have to just leave Earth. It's not that. It's that life is so fragile here because of the possibility not just of us fucking it up, but of natural disasters, and that. Sure. We need to become interstellar in order to propagate life and to survive. And so we can carry on this growth that we're involved in as a human species. Because there's, they just, what was the number that they just found? A bunch of new asteroids? Like, the possibility of us being hit by a near-Earth object is extremely high over the next X amount of hundreds of years. It's extremely high. And these things might not wipe everything out, but they'll start civilization all over again. They'll bring us back to cave people. So the idea was that the more places that we are, the more likelihood that the human race survives. It's not just that we're going to fuck this up.
And I appreciate wanting the human race to survive. Don't get me wrong.
But it should be better than it is now.
I want us to learn our lessons on this planet.
Yeah.
And I think that that's even more important than surviving. Here's the thing. When you ask yourself, when someone asks themselves, have I lived a life worth living? Is a life worth living someone who lives a very long time? Or is a life worth living someone who's lived a good life and maybe for shorter? So what is the ultimate effect that humanity has on the natural world and environment? Do we deserve to be spacefaring? And if we do, then I say let's go. But I think
deserved by whose judgment, though?
Well, by my own individual judgment at this point,
But are we better than the lions who killed the gazelles?
No, but the lions, all the natural world works cyclically. The way that the lion kills the gazelle and the way that the alligator takes the
tourist.
Yeah, exactly. Everything works with balance in nature. You have just enough give and take. It's worked that way for years, and then yes, extinction events happen, and then things die out, but there has never been a creature on the planet with the ability like we have to take as much resource as we can without replenishing that or balancing that out.
Right.
So we, I think, have a responsibility as humanity to understand how to balance ourselves with and harmonize with nature. And I think that's where my great hope is that we figure out how to find a cyclical arrangement with nature, where just like photosynthesis, just like plants give us oxygen, and then the carbon dioxide we breathe, then the plants then sequester.
Well, our disconnection to nature might be a part of our disconnection to psychedelics. That might be one of the reasons why we're disconnected, is we're lacking a crucial element that's there to humble the human species. And
yes,
I think
that's the great key.
I think
humility.
That's part of it. I really do, and I think that these monsters that were trying to silence the anti-war and the civil rights movement in the 1970s by making those things illegal, they hampered our development. But not all of it, right? So our technological development continued, but our spiritual development ceased.
Yeah, and intellect devoid of wisdom is dangerous.
Yeah, for sure. Especially like overcome with ego.
Yeah.
Intellect overcome with ego is like really disgusting.
So, and the thing about it is that no one believes they're a monster.
Right.
Everyone
they
justifies
think they're doing good. Right.
their behavior.
Right.
And they think they're doing good.
Sure.
I mean, with the exception of, like I said, a few sociopathic, completely devoid of empathy individuals,
Yeah.
But for the most part, everyone justifies their behavior.
Yeah.
For themselves. They judge themselves, and then they somehow make it, well, because I'm doing this, I can sleep at night. And so they let themselves sleep at night, and a lot of times they should be looking at themselves and changing, but they don't,
Yeah.
And so that's why my policy is I try to just always look at myself and see, is this actually beneficial for not just me, but for the people around me, And music has been one of the great things in life that is a win-win,
Yes.
It's always a win-win.
Yeah, that's a great way to look at it.
It's like, wow, I'm so lucky to just be able to observe, be able to play, be able to sleep well for the most part.
You're a chef for the soul. Like a chef provides food. It's a win-win. People eat. It's wonderful. You enjoy the food.
Oh, man.
It sustains you.
Yeah.
And I think music is, that's a lot of what a musician is. They're a chef for the soul.
Jimi Hendrix, you're a huge fan.
Huge.
Yeah.
Huge.
He was, other than my dad, it was Jimmy and Stevie Ray Vaughan. And
Oh,
Stevie
yeah.
Ray being here
Yeah.
from Austin, I sort of had a special affinity for, even though Hendrix...
Steve Ray's the only one who's allowed to do Voodoo Child, other than Hendrix.
I think you're probably right there. I mean, really.
Other people can. I'm just joking around.
No. I actually heard you say that with
Yeah.
Charlie, and I was
It's
like, I
kinda-
think I agree.
Kind of right, because he's the only one that I can listen to where I go, yeah, this is like a Stevie Ray version of Voodoo Child.
Well, and he was a disciple of Hendrix.
Oh, yeah.
He was he really sat and really lived that life. But that's the thing that I learned that was the best lesson I learned. It goes back to why I am sober now and where I'm at. It was because I think the greatest lie I ever believed for so long, I did 15 years on the road, 250 shows a year. And I told myself I had to live like my heroes in order to be, and I think that's what, it didn't kill Stevie Ray, but it derailed him for a long time before he got sober, Stevie Ray died in a tragic accident, obviously. It was, just that's what happened, but...
I almost had a chance to drive him.
Really?
Yeah, I was driving limousines for this limousine company in Boston, and he was supposed to take a limousine, but he wouldn't take limousines. He would take cabs. He always wanted to take a cab. So I drove this limousine. I drove Jeff Beck once. I drove Annie Lennox's crew. I didn't drive
I love Annie
Lennox.
Lennox. She's beautiful. She's amazing.
I had to drop off the crew at this restaurant, and Annie Lennox was talking, and her voice was so powerful. It was like, the way I described it, I was like, her vocal cords were made out of like piano wire. Because like her voice was carrying in the room. And I was, at the time, I was 20 maybe. And I remember like watching her talk. Oh, this is crazy! Like this lady's voice is like traveling. Like it has a different power than everyone else in the restaurant.
The voice is such an incredible thing, is it not? I mean, you know, the power of a vocal cord. Like look at James Earl Jones.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You know, like to change.
Darth Vader, by the way.
Darth Vader.
Yeah, he is Darth Vader.
Yeah, and he lived to be, what, 95? Something like that. How long did he have? He was crazy, and he was still doing that. Well, yeah, there's certain once
But
in a
Stevie Ray
lifetime.
wouldn't take limos. Like, fuck this limo. He liked to talk to cab drivers. He liked to get in a cab, and he liked to just keep it real.
Oh, man.
Even though he was a superstar, he didn't want to be treated like one. He just wanted to be normal.
Some of the best conversations I've ever had have been in like Ubers or Lyfts or whatever, and just sitting and like chatting about like where they're from and like how they got there, and like there's a lot of incredible stories that of like perseverance.
Yeah.
Escaping certain situations.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah. I mean, and then everybody's got their own little journey, and sometimes you dip into someone's journey and go, what are you doing, man?
Yeah.
What's going on? What you up to?
I always try and learn a little bit of the language, too. Like, how do you say this?
Yeah.
There's something that just makes people, I think, really drop their defenses when you submit yourself with humility to learn their language.
Yeah.
And to say, you know what? I'm like, look, thank you for driving me. I'm so glad you're here.
Right.
How do you say thank you?
Right. How do you correctly pronounce your name?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I work for the UFC, so there's a lot of people that I have to ask them, tell me how to say your name. Because some of these names are just insane. Like some of the names from Dagestan or from, Kazakhstan. There's so many places where it's like Shavkat Rachmanov. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, it takes forever. And I can't fuck their names up. So
I'm glad that you think that. Because that's a beautiful thing.
Well, it's interesting. I'm fascinated by the different sounds that people choose to use as their language in different places. It's like human beings evolved in all these different places with all these different ways of communicating. They're all different.
What's the clicking
in
Africa? There's a musician, and I can't remember for the life of me her name, is it maybe Angelique Kidjo? But no. But she sings and she uses the clicks and then just does this of, oh my gosh,
she uses the clicks in her singing,
in her music. Oh, it's so beautiful. Oh man.
Oh, you gotta wonder like what caused them to develop that kind of language, It's like they're all developing it in a vacuum, right? Because they're all the people in that area, in that community, generation after generation after generation, all agree to communicate in this certain way.
Yeah.
And then they run into people in China, and you're like, well, Jesus, this is so different.
And in China, there's like, I don't know how many different dialects.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And they're different, like completely different.
Oh, yeah. Well, my grandparents were from Italy, and they spoke a Sicilian dialect.
Ah, I'm Sicilian, too.
Oh, that's
my mother's side, yeah.
But I remember me, like, learning Italian in college, and it was so different than the way that they were speaking Italian.
Well, and I think, I'm not certain, but Dean Martin had a specific, and it may have been Sicilian or maybe a specific northern Italian or Napoli, maybe it's but the way that he would sing Domenico Modugno's song, volare, penso che un sogno così non ritorni mai più. Volare,
right.
And he would do it, and he'd have these like slang. In his version, it's quite different. The Italian, if you listen to both of them together.
Interesting.
It's really interesting, yeah.
Yeah, dialects are weird, right? Yeah. So it's like people learn how... Well, I mean, look at in America, right? You can go to, like, New Orleans. Yeah. And people have a completely different way of talking than people do in New York City.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Have you heard about the new, speaking of AI, the new adventures that we're now embarking on? Some scientists, they're like using AI to communicate with animals like whales.
I saw that with cats. I saw that today. That AI.
You saw it today?
Yes, AI
wow.
is translating cat language with like 95% accuracy. They think they know what cats are saying to each other now.
Do you think that will have an effect on how we treat animals if we're able to communicate with them?
Probably, yeah. Well, I'm sure you've seen dogs when people say "I love you" and they go "Roar, roar, roar."
Yeah, yeah.
You know, like
yeah.
the
You're like,
dogs
there's
are
something
trying,
there.
Yeah, they're trying to say "I love you." They just don't have the same lips.
Yeah,
You know?
and they're dogs will, they're very good at mimicking.
Oh yeah.
And behavior.
Well, they certainly understand language, because I talk to my dog like a person. I
Yeah.
talk to him.
Yeah.
Like I can say, "Come on, man, is it time to go outside? What
Yeah.
do you want to do? You want to get crazy?"
Yeah.
And they're like, "Hmm? Are we gonna go outside?" We're gonna do-" Like he knows what I'm saying. Like I don't have to say it in a certain tone. I can just say the words.
He knows. Yeah. It's funny. My dad, Roger Miller. You ever hear Roger Miller?
It's Roger Miller.
Trailers for sale or rent, rooms to let 50 cents. King of the Road.
Oh, right.
King of the
right.
Road.
Yeah, that's
so.
right.
My dad and him were good friends, and he used to tell a lot of great jokes. But one of them was, "It's true. You start looking like your dog. I just got chewed out by the neighbor for shitting in their front yard." My dad has so many amazing jokes.
Well, it must have been really interesting, the people that your dad brought around.